All right, let's see if I can recapitulate some of the sequence of thoughts that I've had in the last 5 minutes. So, some of this may seem extremely simple and trivial, but I thought it was interesting, so I thought I'd report on it. So as we approached, our walking place, we decided to put on coats because the wind was blowing and it was kind of cold. But as we, walked further and further away from the car, now we'd walked quite a ways. All of a sudden, it stopped. The wind stopped and the sun came out, and now the sun was shining onto our backs, and it was starting to get hot wearing a coat. And it was, the car was now, too far away to, efficiently walk back and, change our minds about whether or not we wanted to wear coats. So now we were stuck with coats that we didn't want to wear. So, what do we do when we have coats that we don't want to wear? Well, we have to fucking carry the bastards. So, so I took off my coat, I put it over my shoulder. As you can see, I'm carrying it around in the fucking sweltering heat of the California sun in the middle of December. And, I was notably distressed by this. It was like my mental bandwidth was being taken up by this, arduous task of having to carry around a coat. And I was like considering to just leave it on a park bench. And, thinking of like solutions to this coat fucking problem that I was, that had now taken hold of my consciousness. I don't know. Eventually, I decided it wasn't, although it would be unlikely that someone would walk off of a random coat they found on a park bench. I thought the risk of leaving it was greater than I felt comfortable with. So I decided, okay, I'm going to continue to carry the coat around. And then something interesting happened. I put the coat in a position that I would carry it around for. And I decided that this was going to, in fact, be the future. I decided the coat carrying chore was now part of how I would proceed. And in this, I decided, I can be happy with this decision. And now I've made the decision. It's like 100% unequivocal that I'm going to be carrying this coat around until I'm done, with this walk. And in that, I felt a great sense of relief, because it was like I no longer had to carry around, an indecision of whether or not I could do this happily or not. I made the decision, so I would know. Now I no longer had to think about this decision, and I decided I could be happy about, doing this task that before seemed like very inconvenient and uncomfortable. But as soon as I made the decision, the inconvenient and the discomfort, I was able to lay aside. And now as back, my mental bandwidth was freed up to, continue without really giving this coat thing much thought, more further thought. So in that, it was a little bit of a discovery that, unhappiness is often sort of like a decision that is waiting to be made, and we sort of continue to spin our wheels in our head until, we make the decision, because we have some negative anticipation with, the outcome of our decision. So it's like the energy sort of goes into a waiting room, and that like creates tension in our body, because the energy is like not certain of like, am I going to go left? Am I going to go right? It's just sort of like waiting there. And to keep it there, we need to give it additional energy, to the tension that is required to hold the energy in. So, but once the decision has been made and it's clear, now, we have peace of mind again. And regardless of what the decision is or what it means or the dire, consequences that it might lead to, once the decision has been made, emphatically, now we find peace within ourselves. So I just thought that was an interesting experience, to have, like, it's a really simple thing that seems like such a small thing, but I think it highlights a lot about, where unhappiness comes from and, why we stay in a state of unhappiness. It's essentially because, in some sense, we're still holding on to something that we haven't fully made a decision on whether to go, forward, backward, sideward, left, right, whatever, But as soon as we pick a direction and we go into it and we stand behind that decision and we clear up our mental bandwidth, now we're free to be happy again. So anyway.
Can I add on to this?
Yeah, sure.
I want to turn it into a question and see what you do spontaneously.
Okay.
There's an expression that we've often heard. You and I have heard it. It's part of a New Age community.
Okay.
You're never upset for the reason you think. And then it follows with, the reason I'm upset is because I'm seeing something in the past. I'll just leave it there and ask you to comment on this, because I thought you're touching on to that.
All right. You're never upset for the reason that you think you are, because it has something to do with something about the past. All right. Well, I guess in that case, it would mean that you've made some decision about, your identity, that you're not sure about. But somebody planted that into your head, and now you're asking the question, and you sort of ask the question over and over and over again. And that sort of, because like some part of your true self is like, that's not, something about this smells off. And yet, for whatever reason, we've had some allegiance to whatever, person who planted that thought in our heads. And so we keep going back to it. And, we say, well, maybe that's true. And if some part of it is just not sticking, it means that we haven't fully decided, if it is true, then, we can sort of let it go. And then that part of, who we are based on somebody else's opinion, we can make peace with. But if it's something that doesn't quite sit right with us, then we might continue to have these, energies in our bodies that haven't quite found, a way for the, the river to find the ocean, yet. And it's sort of blocked in some kind of emotional dam or waiting room where we're like, okay, well, maybe I'm this way, but, I'm really not sure. And, the reason that we do this is because, it's our survival is often dependent, on some person early on in our childhood, So we respect, that, their words have a lot of influence on us. And, we don't want our survival to be threatened. So at least we need to put on a show in some way of agreement sometimes with, our early childhood providers and role models. So anyway, I think that's how I would explain what you just asked me.
I really liked what you're talking about. I've had the same dilemma maybe 100 times coming up this particular place to walk. Cold at first, and maybe from walking we get our blood up, but we get at the other end of the waterway where there's less wind. The sun comes out. I have to carry my coat, my shirt, until I'm down to a t-shirt sometimes. And it's amazing that you have to navigate to get happy with that, because you're enjoying the walk. You don't want you want your arms freely flowing. But I made the choice. I'd be happy with it. Wasn't like I think that. It's just I got tired of carrying the unhappiness and the coat.
Yeah, it's like, fuck that. If I'm gonna carry, the coat, I might as well let go of the unhappiness.
But it wasn't like I thought it. It
Yeah.
just happened.
Right.
But I could see
Yeah.
that on the days that I'm more annoyed about something else, I'm
Right.
less able to process
Right.
the fucking decision to carry the coat.
Yeah.
Okay, being okay with it.
Yeah, because then you're like have some other thing that you're processing that is like still like still hanging in the background,
Background program.
and that makes it more hard for you to like that we've all been through this, and we've all seen somebody struggle, where they're just like pissed off, like doing something that is very ineffective in their physical environment because something else is upsetting them. They might be like struggling to like sit down on their chair correctly or something, and then throw sort of a little tantrum, or like they can't find the right button on the computer or something.
That's me.
Yeah, or like they're struggling to like put on their fucking shoes, and then they get pissed off at their shoe, and then they fucking throw their shoe out of the window because it's the goddamn shoe is fucking like with my self-esteem right now. How like everything else is going fucked in my life.
Your shoe's done that
why
too?
Is the goddamn
Your shoe's
shoe,
done that too?
The shoe is in on it. It's fucking betraying
Jesus.
me. What a fucking betrayer. You fucking shitty ass shoe.
Shitty ass shoe.
Fuck that shoe. Anyhow, I think
I bought a new pair of shoes.
yeah, on that note, I think I'll leave it.